You think you're being productive, but your brain is secretly paying the price. Every tab open feels like progress. Every ping, every message, every quick switch between windows feels like motion. But it's not movement, it's fragmentation. You tell yourself you're multitasking, balancing everything at once. But what if what you call efficiency is actually your brain slowly burning itself out? Picture this. Your screen glows with half-written emails, open chats, unread notifications, and a dozen unfinished thoughts fighting for bandwidth. The room is quiet, but inside your mind, it's chaos. Your focus flickers like a dying signal, constantly jumping frequencies. You start one thing, switch to another, then circle back, but nothing ever truly feels done. The truth is, your mind was never designed to operate like a browser with infinite tabs. It was built to go deep, one thought at a time. Yet, in a world of constant input, we've mistaken stimulation for progress. Each time you switch tasks, your brain must reboot, losing microseconds that across a day add up to hours of lost clarity. You feel exhausted not because you've worked too much, but because you've switched too much. Multitasking gives the illusion of mastery while quietly draining your cognitive energy, leaving you scattered, foggy, and strangely unsatisfied. Somewhere between the notifications, the deadlines, and the dopamine hits, we've forgotten what real focus feels like. We've become addicted to motion, to the feeling of productivity, even when we're going nowhere. But what if you could take that power back? What if your mind could return to the calm, steady rhythm it was designed for? That's exactly what we're going to explore. How to understand the mental cost of multitasking, and more importantly, how to stop paying it. If you've ever felt like your brain is always running, but never arriving, this is for you. Before we dive deeper, take a second to like this video and subscribe to Focus Rewired, where every week we decode the neuroscience of modern life and help you reprogram your mind for clarity, calm, and real focus. It starts like any normal day, coffee in hand, screen glowing, the to-do list waiting. You tell yourself, okay, today I'll finally be productive. But within minutes, you're answering a message, checking an email, switching to a document, then glancing at a notification that just popped up. It feels manageable at first, just small switches. Harmless, but the invisible cost is already building up. Your brain isn't simply changing tasks. Every time you switch, it leaves a small fragment of attention behind, a trace of thought still entangled in what you just abandoned. Psychologists call it attention residue, the mental echo that keeps part of your focus stuck in the last thing you were doing. So even when you think you've moved on, part of your mind hasn't caught up. It's still running in the background, quietly consuming energy, bandwidth, and clarity, like dozens of invisible tabs open inside your head. You finish an email but can't remember what you were saying in your report. You reply to a message but feel strangely anxious afterward. You jump between tabs, but nothing flows. Your thoughts come out fragmented, incomplete. It's not that you're lazy. It's that your brain was never designed to multitask. Our prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for planning, reasoning, and decision-making, can only focus on one, demanding task at a time. When we force it to handle several, it doesn't multitask. It task switches rapidly and inefficiently. Every jump comes with a cognitive cost, a drain of glucose and mental energy. Over time, this constant shifting doesn't just tire your brain, it reshapes how you think. Your attention span shortens, your tolerance for boredom disappears. You crave stimulation, even when it makes you less effective. It's like feeding your brain fast food, quick pleasure, long-term. Fatigue. You might recognize the pattern. You're working on something important, but your phone buzzes. You check it just for a second, then 5 minutes later, you're scrolling aimlessly, unsure how you got there. You come back to your task, but the mental flow is gone. The depth, the clarity, the momentum, all broken. And that break doesn't heal quickly. Studies show that it can take more than 20 minutes to fully regain focus after an interruption. 20 minutes every time your mind wanders or a notification steals your attention. Multiply that by a day, by a week, and you start to see the silent collapse of your productivity. The modern world is built on distraction. Notifications are designed to capture attention, not to protect it. Every platform, every ping, every color and vibration, they're all part of an economy where your focus is the currency being traded. We've become masters at juggling, not because it works, but because the system rewards the illusion of being busy. You can't see the cost in the moment, but your brain feels it. The mental fog, the emotional fatigue, the quiet frustration of never feeling truly done. And the worst part? The more we multitask, the harder it becomes to stop. The brain starts craving constant switching, confusing novelty with productivity. It learns to seek stimulation, not satisfaction. This is the trap. Not a failure of willpower, but a mismatch between an ancient brain and a modern world. The truth is simple, but profound. Your mind isn't broken, it's just overloaded. And the first step to reclaiming your focus is realizing that multitasking isn't efficiency. It's self-sabotage disguised as progress. When you try to do multiple things at once, reply to an email, check your messages, listen to a podcast, and think about your next task, it might feel like your brain is handling it all. But neurologically, that's an illusion. Inside your skull, something very different is happening. The prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for planning, decision-making, and focus, is like a control tower. It manages what gets attention and what doesn't. But this part of the brain has a strict limitation. It can only process one high-level task at a time. When you try to multitask, your brain doesn't actually split its focus. It switches rapidly between tasks, turning parts of your attention on and off like flickering lights. Each switch forces your brain to disengage from one mental context and re-engage with another. This constant reorientation creates what neuroscientists call switching cost, a measurable loss of time and cognitive energy every time you change focus. Your working memory, the short-term mental space where your brain holds information you're currently using, becomes overloaded. It's like trying to juggle too many objects. Eventually, something drops. And when that happens, your comprehension, accuracy, and creativity all suffer. Research from Stanford University found that people who frequently multitask actually perform worse on attention tests compared to those who focus on one task at a time. Their brains show reduced ability to filter out irrelevant information. In other words, chronic multitasking trains your mind to stay distracted. And it's not just about attention. The cost is physical too. Each time your brain switches gears, it triggers a mild stress response, releasing cortisol and adrenaline, the same hormones activated during danger or anxiety. Over time, this constant low-level stress builds up, leaving you mentally fatigued, emotionally drained, and even less capable of focusing. MRI scans have shown that chronic multitaskers have lower gray matter density in the anterior cingulate cortex, a region tied to emotional regulation and decision-making. The very architecture of the brain begins to shift in response to constant overload. In simpler terms, every time you bounce between tasks, you're training your brain to expect interruption. You're building neural pathways optimized for chaos, not clarity. Think of your attention like a muscle. Every switch between apps, thoughts, or conversations tears a small fiber. One tear is harmless, but thousands per day lead to mental fatigue, loss of depth, and burnout. The prefrontal cortex tires out, and with it, your sense of presence and productivity. And here's the paradox. Your brain rewards this chaos with tiny bursts of dopamine each time you switch. That's why it feels good to multitask. Each new notification, each new tab gives a micro hit of novelty. But dopamine is not about satisfaction, it's about seeking. So your brain learns to crave the switch itself, not the completion. This feedback loop, dopamine-driven switching, keeps your attention fragmented and your mind restless. It's why even in silence your thoughts race. Why it's hard to stay with one thing long enough to feel immersed. The science is clear. Multitasking doesn't make you efficient. It makes you scattered. It hijacks your neural systems, floods your brain with stress chemicals, and rewires your sense of time and progress. Imagine your mind as a CPU. Each new task you open divides the processor's capacity. Open too many and everything slows down until the whole system lags. That's what's happening inside you every day. Every switch has a cost, not just in productivity, but in presence, in peace, in how deeply you experience your own life. Attention is not infinite. It's your most valuable currency, and every distraction is a withdrawal. So how do we stop paying the mental price of multitasking? How do we reclaim our focus in a world that profits from stealing it? It starts with one radical idea. You don't need to do more. You need to do one thing well. The first and most powerful shift is called time blocking. Instead of constantly reacting to your day, switching between messages, meetings, and microtasks, you design your day into focused segments. You assign specific hours for specific types of work. Deep creation, shallow tasks, admin, rest. In practice, this could look like 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock. Deep work, no notifications, one browser tab, one goal. 11 o'clock to 12 o'clock, admin tasks, messages, quick responses, logistics. 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock, creative work, writing, design, or problem solving. Time blocking works because it reduces cognitive load. The brain no longer has to constantly decide what to do next. That decision-making energy, which normally drains your willpower, gets freed up for actual work. At a neural level, this structure helps the prefrontal cortex maintain sustained activation on a single neural pathway, instead of bouncing between competing ones. Over time, this rewires your brain's default mode toward depth and clarity, not chaos. The second method is single-task mode. This is the antidote to attention residue. The rule is simple: one window, one intention. When you write, you write. No tabs, no alerts, no multitasking. When you answer messages, that's all you do, and then you stop. It sounds small, but it's transformative. Each time you eliminate a background distraction, your brain's working memory reclaims bandwidth. Think of it like closing unnecessary programs on a computer. Suddenly, everything runs smoother. You can take this even further using AI productivity tools designed to protect your focus instead of stealing it. Motion uses artificial intelligence to automatically schedule tasks around your energy levels and priorities. It removes the friction of deciding when to do things. Notion Focus allows you to create minimal workspaces that collapse everything unnecessary, keeping your mind centered on one goal. Sunsama integrates your calendar, to-do list, and energy tracker into one clean daily plan, reducing overwhelm and context switching. Reclaim.ai uses behavioral data to automatically carve out focus blocks on your calendar, learning your natural rhythms over time. These tools are not just about time, they're about neural efficiency. They automate decision fatigue, helping your dopamine system rebalance naturally. When your brain sees tasks completed in sequence, not half-finished chaos, it releases dopamine from achievement, not from distraction. That's the key difference between artificial dopamine loops, endless scrolling, tab hopping, and authentic dopamine rewards. Single task accomplishment. The first keeps you addicted to novelty. The second strengthens your focus. Circuitry. Neuroscientifically, each completed focus block activates the striatum, the part of your brain that processes reward and habit formation. Over time, this reinforces a loop of calm concentration, not frantic activity. To make it visual, imagine your brain like a lens. Each tool and method you use brings that lens into sharper focus. Time blocking aligns your schedule. Single tasking aligns your attention. AI assistants align your environment. And when all three align, something shifts. Your thoughts slow down. Your energy lasts longer. You start finishing what you start, not just starting what you never finish. This is how you reprogram your brain for focus. Not by resisting the modern world, but by building systems that make focus automatic. When I decided to try a full week of single tasking only, I honestly thought it would be easy. I mean, how hard could it be to just do one thing at a time? Day 1 proved me wrong in about 10 minutes. The moment I sat down to work, my fingers instinctively reached for new tabs. My brain itched for stimulation. I'd write 2 sentences, then suddenly wonder if I had any new emails, or if someone texted back. The silence of doing just one thing felt loud, uncomfortable, almost unnatural. I caught myself hovering over the browser bar like an addict looking for a fix. And that's when it hit me. I wasn't bored. I was detoxing. My mind had been trained to crave micro hits of dopamine from switching tasks, and now it was starving. By day 2, I started noticing the withdrawal symptoms: restlessness, checking my phone for no reason, and a strange sense of guilt for not doing more. But underneath the noise, something else began to surface: awareness. I could actually feel the mental cost of every time I almost switched. Each micro-urge became visible. Day 3 was a turning point. I created a simple rule. One task, full screen, no exceptions. If I was writing, every other app disappeared. If I was planning, I used just one window, Notion, full screen, nothing else. The first few hours felt painfully slow. But then something strange happened. My thoughts began to flow. Without context switching, I started finishing tasks faster. Not because I rushed, but because my brain stopped rebooting. By day 5, the change was undeniable. My mind felt quieter. Work sessions felt immersive, almost meditative. I noticed details I'd normally skip over. I actually started to enjoy the process again, the rhythm of doing one thing deeply. The biggest surprise came at the end of the week. Time itself felt slower. I wasn't racing the clock anymore, I was inside it. I'd finish my day with energy left, not that drained, scattered exhaustion that used to feel normal. Sure, I slipped a few times, opened a random tab or checked my messages mid-task, but instead of judging myself, I laughed. I never realized how addicted I was to switching tabs. That one week didn't just change how I worked, it changed how I existed. Single tasking didn't make me less productive, it made me present. Your brain isn't built for multitasking, it's built for meaning. Somewhere along the way, we confused movement with progress. We started believing that being busy equals being effective, that speed equals success. But the truth is simpler, quieter, and far more human. The mind thrives not in chaos, but in clarity. Focus isn't about control, it's about direction. It's not a battle against distraction. It's a return to alignment. Every time you choose to do one thing deeply, you're telling your brain, this matters. You're reminding yourself that your attention is sacred, that where you place it shapes the quality of your life. Single tasking isn't about discipline or perfection. It's about self-compassion. It's choosing to give your mind space to breathe, your thoughts time to form, and your life the depth it deserves. When you slow down, you start to experience the richness hidden in the moments. You used to rush through. You stop living like a tab that's constantly refreshing and start living like a person again, grounded, present, aware. The paradox is that slowing down doesn't make you less productive. It makes you more effective. Because the work that comes from focus, the ideas, the clarity, the calm confidence, lasts longer than anything created in distraction. That's the essence of a rewired mind. A brain trained not for noise, but for nuance. Not for multitasking, but for meaning. So the next time you feel that urge to switch, pause, breathe. Remind yourself, slow is the new productive. If this video helped you rethink how your mind works, like the video and subscribe to Focus Rewired for smarter self-improvement, where every week we explore the neuroscience behind clarity, calm, and real.